Okay, so today is Tuesday. Welcome to the video. This is the Fifth Down Huddle, and please like and subscribe to support the channel. And that's all I'm going to say about it. Just like and subscribe. Check me out on Instagram at Fifth Down Huddle. No caps, no spaces, no underscores, and yeah, thank you for tuning in. Anyways, let's huddle up. So, the Super Bowl, in my eyes, was, as the title says, you know, I it's interesting. I say that because I think our expectations are a little too high. So I'm being kind of hypocritical here. But I think our expectations have been made really high for Super Bowls. I mean, constantly the NFL is advertising how flashy the NFL is and how crazy it gets and how important the passing game is and just how the NFL is interesting now, and how they're advertising how they score more touchdowns now than they ever have. And I think that kind of leads us to expect a big scoring, down to the last second game in the Super Bowl every year. And these last 2 years, they've gone down to the last couple of drives, but they haven't been they haven't been as exciting per se. I think that when you look at the quarterbacks and when you think about Patrick Mahomes, all you see is highlights. His crazy plays, his crazy throws, the long plays, the long throws. And for the majority of the first half, we didn't see many of those. We didn't see many big plays by either team. Those big runs by Deebo Samuel, yeah, a couple long throws, but nothing insane, And I think with Patrick Mahomes, I think we all expected to see some insane showing, and instead we got 2 interceptions from both quarterbacks. So I think in that sense, the Super Bowl was a little disappointing for me. I was expecting to see great quarterback play from Patrick Mahomes, and he did good. But those 2 interceptions, they still resonate. They're still there. One of them was just a bad throw by Mahomes, and I was like, what are you doing? But the other one was kind of iffy about whether or not it was his fault. But yeah, in the end, the Super Bowl for me, it was fun. I mean, no Super Bowl's not fun. You're looking at who's going to be the champion. And in my last video, I said, I forgot who exactly I predicted to win. I think it was the Chiefs, and I'll have to look back at it. But I'm pretty sure it was the Chiefs that I predicted to win. Simply because they had the easier path to victory. And what I meant by that is that the Chiefs, they had a lot more going for them before the game. It's kind of the reason we all subconsciously said, if I had to bet money, I'd say the Chiefs. All of us were kind of hoping for a really close game, but all of us wouldn't have been surprised if it was a complete blowout by the Chiefs. But it was an interesting game. I can't lie and say it was boring. I mean, there was a big lull in the second quarter, a little bit of the third, where it was kind of punt, field goal. But it was okay. The quarterbacks played okay. They didn't play great. They didn't play terrible. Jimmy Garoppolo is getting a lot of scrutiny right now for throwing the 2 interceptions. But if the Chiefs lost, we'd be looking at Patrick Mahomes as the reason they lost, and we'd be giving him the same amount of scrutiny. So I think it's a little hypocritical to be blaming it on Garoppolo. I think Garoppolo played fine. He had a good completion percentage. He played a decent game all the way through until those 2 interceptions occurred. And it's arguable that both one of them, or maybe both of them, were not his fault. It's a bit stretched saying both, but one of them could easily be argued wasn't his fault. But yeah, the quarterbacks didn't play great. The run game was interesting. I think Damian Williams got snubbed of the MVP. I think Damian Williams has been great in the playoffs for these Chiefs. I mean, he was pretty good in the regular season. I do have a little bit of despise, not of Damian Williams, but of his consistency, because in the NFL regular season, it's my fault. But in my fantasy league, I dropped Damian Williams because he had 3 straight games where he scored under 5 points, and I was like, okay, I need to get a new running back. So I dropped him and tried to pick up another running back. Someone else picked up Damian Williams right away, and I was like, okay, whatever. And then right as I drop him, he starts having these 100-yard games, like several of them. And I was like, really? Like, the main reason I lost my fantasy league was because Damian Williams, or was because I didn't have a good, solid running core. I mean, I had, what's his name? I had the Broncos running back, Philip Lindsay. I had him at the running back position, but I didn't have a good second running back, so it was kind of like a revolving door. Like at one point, I had Deion Lewis running it. I had Rex Burkhead at one point. It was crazy. But nonetheless, it was a good season. But yeah, Damian Williams did great in the Super Bowl. Back to the point, I think he should have won MVP. I voted for him. Halfway through the game, I was thinking, geez, Jimmy Garoppolo might win MVP. But then, of course, they lost, and it's very unlikely that they're going to give that to Jimmy Garoppolo on top of the 2 interceptions. Jimmy Garoppolo would have had to throw in 5 touchdowns and 400 yards to get MVP. But yeah, the 49ers defense was good. They got a fair amount of stops. They played pretty good red zone defense for a good chunk of the game. It was 20-10 at one point, and then the Chiefs scored 3 straight touchdown drives. It was that same narrative all season long where your team might get a little bit ahead of the Chiefs, or it might seem like, geez, they're really holding in the Chiefs. Why aren't the Chiefs scoring? And then you look away from the TV, go pay the pizza guy, and you come back, and the Chiefs have 21 more points than when you left them. It just proves the narrative that the Chiefs are a explosive team. And they really showed that in the Super Bowl. I mean, they showed it throughout the playoffs. In all 3 games, they had a deficit of 10 points or more. It was 10 against the Titans, 24 against the Texans, and 10 against the 49ers. So all playoffs, they had moments where they were down. And each and every time they came back and won it. And it's interesting to see, because it's like, how does a team do that? Well, I feel like the Chiefs, what they do is they kind of get a feel for the game. What I mean by that is they look and see how they can beat you, how they can beat your defense, how they can be explosive and put up points. And then the moment you feel like you're in the safe spot, they start firing on all cylinders. They pull out plays from the Rose Bowl in the early 1900s. And, yeah, I mean, the Chiefs played great. Hats off to the Chiefs head coach, Andy Reid. Hats off to Patrick Mahomes. He played well under pressure. Not astounding, not great, but he played good under pressure. That's what you got to expect from a quarterback. That he at least plays good and isn't the reason you lose. And I'd say both quarterbacks did that, despite the interceptions. The Chiefs' defense was also surprisingly good. I said in my video talking about how the Chiefs can win, I talked about how the 49ers, they don't have a super great offense. And I know that people always say, oh, well, the statistic is they're second in scoring. Well, it doesn't really constitute them as a good offense. If your defense is super good, that means you're going to get a lot of good field position things, like from the 40, from the 50, due to punts, from the 35. So when you're facing a good offense like the Chiefs that's going to at least get a first down or two, you're not going to have those same field position opportunities, which is why the 49ers didn't score a ton of points. They scored 20. It's good, but they didn't score a ton of points. I think the whole idea that the 49ers could be as good an offense as the Chiefs was just false. A lot of people kind of threw that out there and said, well, they have this great offense. They're second in scoring. And I'm like, well, look, just because, some seasons the Patriots are number 1 in scoring, but they're definitely not the number 1 offense. It's a team effort. And I think without that defense, the 49ers would not be anywhere near number 2 in scoring. But the Chiefs' offense was clearly better out there. Even when the Chiefs were down 10, it still seemed like the Chiefs' offense was better than the 49ers. I don't know why. It just did. And And yeah, the 49ers got off to a great start, but Shanahan, I mean, he kind of just let it go. And I don't think he just let it go on purpose. I think that the team kind of lost its heart when once they realized that the Chiefs were going to come back. At 20-17, you could tell those 49ers players were saying, "Oh dear God, not this. Come on, we cannot let this happen." We watched it on film all week. We watched them come back, and we talked about keeping our lead and how we were supposed to do it. Come on, we can't let this happen, and then they lost it. And that sucks, but it's what happened. They didn't keep their lead, and they didn't deserve to. They didn't keep scoring points. They got 20, and they kind of just simmered off. They didn't score any more points. And if you don't score any more points, you're not going to win the game. I don't mean to sound like Booger McFarland here, but they just stopped scoring. And you can't blame that on anyone else but the team as a whole. I mean, you can lay it on Shanahan, you can lay it on Garoppolo, you can lay it on their defense, but in the end, the 49ers fell apart at 20-17. After that point, they looked hopeless. The 49ers defense looked like they didn't exist after that. And the 49ers offense couldn't be asked to get a first down. But yeah, the Super Bowl was met. It's great from an analysis point because there's a lot of cool factors to look into. But from a fan perspective, it's not what kind of the NFL narrative promises us of a ton of scores. But it was good. It wasn't bad. It wasn't a bad Super Bowl. It was a good Super Bowl. I don't think there's such thing as a bad Super Bowl. I think the only way that happens is if, it's a blowout. I think as long as it's, winnable by both teams in the fourth quarter and not 21-0. I know that's winnable, but still, I think it's a good Super Bowl. But yeah, I enjoyed watching it. I watched it to the end, and it was good. I hoped that one of the quarterbacks would have had to have a final drive to win it, and they did. But it was kind of like I kind of wanted a quarterback to do it and succeed. I feel like that would have been a great story. But Patrick Mahomes has a Super Bowl ring. It's his second season. He has a Super Bowl ring, and man, I wouldn't be surprised if the Chiefs came back and repeated next year. The Chiefs. The one thing I am worried about with the Chiefs is the Patrick Mahomes payment situation. He's going to ask for a lot of money because if he takes a low amount of money, another team's going to call him, another agent, and is going to say, "Hey, do you want to be the richest quarterback in the NFL? Because you have the skill to be it." And it's scary for the Chiefs because if they have to pay him a ton, they can't pay guys like Travis Kelce, Tyreek Hill, and Sammy Watkins all at the same time. So, and again, you can look at my video where I kind of go over that problem with the cap space in will the Chiefs be this decade's Patriots. You can go check that out. But either way, thank you for watching. I'll drop another video tomorrow. And yeah, thanks for huddling up. Have a nice day. Please like and subscribe. I'll see you next time.